Again, welcome. This week we're going to be looking at the second set of Nage no Kata. That is the hip techniques. Last week we started off with the first techniques, first set, which was the hand techniques. But we spent a lot of time going over some of the key points of the kata. If you remember, some of the efficient gripping that you could do, which is, and again, taking a high grip up and end grip. We talked about the stepping, the tsugi stepping, so one foot doesn't pass the other. Again, in competition, you could never call it a stand square, right? Because you're too tippy. So you always want to have one foot ahead of the other when you're stepping. That gives you the best stability. We talked about the kazushi, tsukui, and kake. Those are terminologies that basically describe how you get a throw down. Basically, get the person off balance, get your body in the right spot, and then finish off the throw. Again, that is a continuum. In other words, every step that you take, there should be a little bit more toward the final throw. You never throw the person off the first step, and you did that, and there's no reason to take any more steps. So think about the stepping being progressive. So the time you normally take the third step, you would be at a point of throwing. So you have to show this is a demonstration, not a competition. You're not fighting against your Uke and Tori. Your Uke and Tori are working together as a team to demonstrate a principle of the kata. So again, those are their competitive people. It's really hard sometimes to take off your competitive hat and think about kata. Kata, again, is a demonstration. So you have to work with your partner, your Uke. You have to show that you have some tension in your body. We talked about core, having strong core. And then that way, if you're being lifted up, you have very easier to lift up than if you're soft in the gut. So think about it as you're moving here, develop the throw. You have a pretty good core here. Okay, one thing you don't do is what? To jump. You see somebody jumping, that means that probably Tori should have done a better job than his job, which is to do kazushi, tsukui, and kake. So try not to jump. Now, it's quite natural, and especially for you folks that are going for shodan, it's get roughly right. We don't expect you to be at the level of international nugget teams, but just get it roughly right. Okay. So yeah, there might be a little bit of jumping, but again, think about trying to have Tori do the throw. And okay, just do a nice great ball. The one thing we missed at the very beginning was the opening ceremonies, because we spent more time on the other parts. So this evening we're going to take a look at the opening ceremonies and then look at the second set of hip techniques. And so that's where we're heading now. Let's take a look at the opening ceremonies. If you can see, they're normally, if this was an 8x8 area, this is what you will see at the gradings, for example. We show that grading. And mostly in most competitions, you're going to see just like a setup. In kata competitions, you will have one tape in the center, one on the 1 meter line, and 1 meter line from the edge of the, actually 3 meters, 1, 2, 3, between the tapes. If this is a bigger area, these tapes would still be 1 to 3 meters apart. Okay? So what you need to do is to first come onto the competition area. If that side is shown in, or the judge's side, then we would have, okay, on this side, okay, on this side, and Tori on this side. Some of the key things to remember when you do the opening ceremonies is to have a presence. In other words, look the part, look like you're a competitor almost. Really have a presence. You don't want to be a slouchy, soft person here. So when you're going onto the mat, have a presence. You should be able to look ahead and have nice straight shoulders. And when you bow in, you always have your feet together, the heels together, as opposed to apart. The feet together, like the heels together, I mean, we sometimes say have a pie with your feet. So your feet have a pie there, and that way, that's part of the requirements for the kata demonstration. So we bow in, again, have shoulders, posture here, and closed hands. Okay, in other words, close your fingers so that when your hands go from the side to the front, come down, onto your foot, leg here, and then when you stand up, it'll come back here. Okay, so this is part of the presence of the posture that you want to show. Try to do everything in synchronization. In other words, be a mirror image of each other. This takes a lot of practice, of course, but that's the ideal. For your grading, again, yeah, if one person goes down a little bit faster than the other, that's not going to be a major problem. But try to make everything look good. The thing they say at the beginning of a kata is it sets the tone, it sets the judge's mind and say, oh, these guys look like they know what they're doing, so therefore the rest of the score must be pretty good. Versus if you come in looking, I'll think I'll not there, then they'll think the rest of the kata is going to be bad as well. So sort of plant that seed in the judge's mind, say, we're going to do a good kata. Again, when you're bowing, your heels are together, your hands will go to the front. It's roughly about this angle, not quite 45 even. And so when you come in, you will be going just about here. Now, by looking ahead, now keep your back straight. You start to look at your toes as you bow, and it creates your back to arch. So one of the things, again, is to try to look ahead and try to keep your back straight. Okay? So from the edge, I will just go to this side, try to show you. You will be at the edge of the contact area here. This is the outside area here. Your toes are on the outside here. The judges are going to give you a signal to go ahead, or they've already told you, okay, go ahead. At this point here, you're looking at your partner. You're going to do one bow here, and then take 2 steps to the page. 1, 2. Turn to shomen. That's your next bow here. Come back, face each other, and then go into seiza position. So it's left knee down first. As you do that, try to think about live toes. In other words, keep your toes curled underneath. So if your left knee down first, then right knee, then dead toes, and sit on your heels. At this point, you do a forward bow. Again, not too fast. So again, just here and try to keep your hips down. Try to keep your back straight. Some people do it much better than I, but try to keep that straight and try to do it synchronization. Again, if you look down too far to the knees, you're going to curl your back. And again, just let your hands go in front and go this way and down here. And come back. 5 toes on the back side, right foot, left foot, and then you're ready to go. So as soon as you step in, it's like in competition, when you take that 1 step forward, it means that you're ready to go. So take 1 stride forward, and then now you are a total of 4 meters apart. Okay? That's the start of all the katas pretty well. Okay? You notice when you step ahead, your feet are apart. Again, for polish, when you're stepping ahead, try not to lead with your foot and draw your body ahead. Try to push off the back foot and advance with posture. Same thing when you're going back. Try not to reach back and just suck the hip in. Try to, again, move with your fore back. And then you have good posture. All right, so that's what you'll do with your partner. Just take a minute and try it out. Pretend you have a tape, and a tape in front of you. And just let's see how synchronized and how good form you have. Hey, are your heels together? Are your toes outside of the red? Yeah. All right, so first you bow in at the edge. So 1 bow there. 1, 2, then up. 2 half steps to get to the tape. 1, 2. Are your heels still in the pie shape? Yeah. Then you turn toward the second or so red. So turn that way. 1 bow to that. Good. Then you face each other, but turn back. Your heels are still fine. Good. Then you go down to seiza, starting off with your left knee down first. So left knee down. At this point, just check that when you go down, your toes should be still live. And it's supposed to be dead toe. Live toe, and then when you sit down, you can go big. Okay, so sit down. Get go. Again, have some posture and presence. You're not leaning forward. You should be like a Buddha doll, upright, nice and strong. Okay, from here, slide your hands down in front of you, front, and do a bow. 1, 2, then straight up. So at this point, you're going to be a hip posture straight. Good. Then you stand up and putting your right foot up first, then your left foot. At this point, you're still in time. Now you get to take a regular step forward and go into shoulder width step. So 1 step forward, and you should cover roughly about that 1 meter ahead. Take 1 side forward. Good. Again, in the step, you need to head with your body and not reach and then draw your body forward. All right? Now, at the end of the event, when you're bowing out, you would do the reverse. So if you were at the finish of the steps, you would come back to that squat to arm, which is roughly a meter ahead of the right knee. And then you would face each other because you're at shoulder width at this point. You're going to, at that point, step back behind the table, starting off with your right foot first. So right, left, and then at that point, you should be behind the table. Try that out. Stepping back, and left, and behind the table. And then you got your feet in the 5, and then, so now you do everything in reverse. So last time you went to shoulder first, this time you're going to go to each other first, which means you go into the kneeling position, kneeling position, down, facing left, right, get those, sit up and heel, and then do a forward bow. Good. Back to the good posture here. Pop up, right foot, or left toes first, actually, then right foot, left foot. And then your final bow is to judges. So do a bow to judges. One ready there. Good. Then face each other. All right, now at this point, you should be just behind the tape. So therefore, you should be able to take those 2 half steps and end up at the edge of the compass area. So 2 half steps starting back to the right, and then left. You should be right at the outside of the exit that you started off at. And then you're closing bow to each other. Good. And then you're going to take a big sigh of relief and go off of that. So I would be the end of the kind of demonstration. All right. Any questions on that? Yes.
When you're kneeling down, do you want your knees up by the edge, or can they be back, or does it make a difference?
This tape is always on this side of the 1 meter line. In other words, because of this color coded, you can clearly see where this white tape is. It's actually inside of the 1 line. 1 meter goes from here to here, and then there's a tape, and then the inside. So when you're going down, your knee should be behind that white tape because you're still within a 1 meter time space here. So yes, please be behind the tape and never stand on the tape. You're getting into competition, standing on tape would be the 3-point deduction. Good. All right, let's move on to step 2 then. Remember when we started off, we were behind this 1 meter slot.
Yeah.
So when you're fixing up your jidokis after each step, or after each set, you come back to fix up your jidokis. You actually want to come back to this 1 meter area behind here. So then you would normally fix up your jidokis and turn and face each other. Okay. At this point, now we're into step 2. So now we're 4 meters apart. What we have to do is get within range. Remember what we did last week with the hammer blow? Bend down, do the hammer blow on the front of the forehead, the head area here. Okay. This is the action that you're going to take against you. But we got to get within range. So the first 2 steps are generally to get us roughly about 2 meters spot. So if we both take 2 steps here, we're about into this area here. Now, on the first one, normally it's supposed to be done on the move. In other words, we wouldn't be stopping here. We would actually go back to our sharp point and push each other and continue to hit. So at this point, once you're within the range, you're going to do your 1-2 strike. So 1, 1, 2 strike. 1, 2. Okay. You're on this knee. 1, 2. Yeah. Oh, you square. All right. On this one, remember what we talked about is that, and what he remembers is from the first sale active, which is the first set, that we end up doing a 1, 2, and defense was a square. Defense was a square. That way we could do the sale navigate with a nice firm back to chest situation. On this one here, he's still trying to do the 1, 2, but I haven't throw yet to make him go square. The square was in the set defense. So if we were to approach each other and time we start to strike, bang, she would try to hit there. She wouldn't be in the square position this time. Because every pass is the same. I'm going to try to hit the person, so I should end up with this 1 foot advance. And then depending on what happens after that, she might go to defense. Or in this case, because it's the second step, the reaction to that hammer bolt is different. So as we come to approach, and again, we're starting from 2-meter areas, but normally we would have done on the fly. Normally we would have done on the fly here. So we start 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. In this case here, I'm not going to try to throw her forward. I'm going to try to throw her diagonally. Why diagonally? Because her feet are going to be diagonally. So if we were to just do the stepping part, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's no reason for that to put them in charge. I'm here right in front of me.
He said I could be the directions, so that's why I tried out.
Why? 1, 2, there. Okay, so because this puts ahead, her body is actually angled diagonally. Her feet are diagonal, shouldn't be diagonal. Diagonal. So then that means where's the weak spot? We talked about the point of the triangle last time. What direction is she weaker in? To the front or to the back? Not so much in this case to the this direction. Why? Because we're doing a different type of position. Before we talked about the forward being off out, if we can get a center of balance way past the base of support of the foot. In this case here, we're going to capture it midstream and capture it in this angle here to do a Koshi. Okay, so you're going to be throwing diagonal. Let's take a look at the Ukigoshi idea. Ukigoshi, of course, is different than Ogoshi. A lot of people say it's more of a turn than it is a forward throw over the hip. Okay? So if Tammy was to throw with an Ogoshi, or yeah,
Ogoshi hit.
they Ogoshi around it, pop up. Lots of hip involved with that technique, right? When you came in, you had your knees bent, and then you popped up to do the throw. This one is more, you're going to be reaching around the person's belt. That means you're going to be lowering the hip here. Yeah. You're going to try to reach around here. Reach around the belt. Now, to get your whole arm around the belt, you're going to have to drop the shoulder underneath the belt, here. And then you're going to turn. Thing is, for Ukigoshi, try to remember, aim for the middle of the person. Not having your hip come way out to the side, but aim for a sort of a T position here. So if her body is there, I'm going to try to come in here, only half her body. Yeah. Okay, let me just again show you what I'm trying to do with my arm. I'm trying to drop my arm around her whole belt. It's not going to be a high around the here, it should be here. So the idea of this technique is that once I wrap around, I'm going to pull her in. As I pull her in, I'm going to pop my legs up. So my legs actually straighten out to do the throw. So it's reach and then twist. Reach and twist. You're going to step in here and twist. So that's the theory of it. I'm going to have you practice that theory part first, where again, if Kata is going to read again. Okay, there's her arm like that right now. Can you see where her arm is? Yeah. She'll be down where we're going. Okay? Now, this time, she's actually leaning backwards a bit. But as soon as she starts to pull the stand, she's going to straighten out her legs. Okay? That creates a bit of float. And that sort of pops the person up. But it's sort of just the straightening up of your legs, going from reaching back, straighten out your body. Reaching back, straighten out the body. Put a little twist into it, and now do the throw. Okay? So it's a lot different than elbow shoot in the sense that the mechanics are given. This is actually just a partial hip. Stand the person. You need to have a partial hip to do this one because if I'm way out here and I just say I want to twist, then there's no reason for her to go flying. You have to stagger a bit with a partial hip. Okay? When we do this one here, this is the first time in the only time that you're going to do the technique reversed. In other words, all the other ones start off with a right hand throw, right hand technique. This one is a left hand Kata Koshi done first. So when the person does the normal right hand attack on the head, 1, 2, this time you're going to do a left and throw. Left turn in other way. Okay? Because it's so tempting to say, I always do a right hand throw, so when you start to do the counter go, I'm going to try to do this. That's wrong. Okay, so for the first one, it's going to be just drawing in left and just having a little bit of twist. Then we'll look at how it's actually done in competition. But try to understand the principle of this Kata Koshi. All right, so find out. You could just have a person standing in the position one foot ahead. And then I go ahead like this, so you're basically American. And then have your partner try to draw you in and pop you out over. Yeah.
So very important to keep the arm up, you can't leave it down, otherwise there's nothing to grab hold of.
All the strikes should look the same. So if I'm striking, I'm going to do 1, 2.
Wrong side.
All my strikes are going to look the same. Corey's reaction to my strikes might differ. So the first time we saw say, oh, Nage, you're going to turn and throwing Nage. This time you're going to do left, going that way. And later on, when you get into the 4th or 5th set, then you're going to do the Nages, the Hilpos Rumas, and those type of throws. So for now, this would be just focus that you're going to do left. In other words, whatever arm is up in the air, that's the sign that you're going to reach around and get that out. Okay? Be the American. Be American.
So make sure you're 2 meters apart when you're doing it?
Well, again, when you're striking, you're going to be,
Or like
probably starting in about 2 meters with approaching, so for me to reach them, I don't have to reach them forward here. So I am going to be within range of 1, 2. Okay, now your first roll with the right hand paddle. That was what your left hand. Yeah. So when you're striking, you're not going to yes. The right hand is working. You start doing the left. Yeah. See, yeah. See how your shoulder talks. You now take this out. And all you're going to do is start spinning yourself and this is probably awesome. That's off. Yeah. You have to stop yourself. Turn. Lift the twist. Draw them into your body. And then straighten out your body, Tori. So if I'm reaching around here, I need to get, you can see our back card. And the elbow to be along the
Even after.
We didn't bring in line out. Yeah.
I like a lot of.
Okay, so we'll go this way, right? Oh, is it okay?
That's the house. Stationary, and we're going to have the lead time will be done to this way, and therefore you're going to use target the right throw. From the second time, everything is reversed, but it's now a right hand throw.
One, two, and then turning right side. Right? Right?
Let's go.
Not switching sides.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Oh, I don't have that. Remember for showdown, left and right will work. And so what you see, not only in the lower level competitions, when you watch the higher level competition, it looks like all they do is whack the guy and turn around, and that's it. There was no real reach on when you see it in the competition. You're going to still see this, but it's more or less think about just twisting it, person around you, twisting it around. But of course, you have to have some hips there too. So in this case, when you actually do it, you're going to see a more, not so much of a dip of the shoulder, but more of a good contact and rotation. But remember, throw has to be diagonal. So if you see the hammer go coming and you see Corey turning in and they go right around to do the throw, then they'll say that was more like a no-motion, because for you to do that throw in that direction, you're probably doing more of a hip action rather than the floating hip. Floating hip is again more of a half a hip and then throw. So persons in the diagonal position, that's the direction that they should get thrown in. Okay. Now normally this is done on the move. Remember I said after you fix up the ability, you would approach each other and go 1, 2, then 3, 4 to the strike. But in this case, we're going to start off in the 3, 4 area here. So then it's just a 1, 2 strike. And then now Troy can reach in with just a 1 pin type of step. Okay? So let's just try that out. 1, 2, reach in and pivot. Okay? Now the body stance after these ones here, because you're reaching in, would normally be a wider leg stance than even your normal hip section. So these would be a little wider because we're normally reaching and then spinning. But definitely not close together. None of the shows will be that close. Let's try one more time. 1, 2, reach underneath and just spin. Okay. Did we see much of a rotation on the body there?
He's a little slow with the attack.
Yeah. Well, we can have a firmer attack, and you're doing a right hand elbow. So now when he's coming a little bit stronger, and don't wait for him to actually finish. I want you to catch him this out of his face in the second step, and just win it.
Go to the other side. When you're back.
Okay, one more time. 1, 2, 3. Okay. That was more continual. Out the hip I saw. I'll get it. Okay, so you can see it's not that complicated if you want to get it just roughly right. Just think about Tori being one that's going to twist and only catch partial hip as opposed to stepping in and giving them a big, although she had the hip back up in the air. This is a spinning action. A turning and twisting action, but again, as you see it more in the instructional movies or the videos, they say, oh yeah, you're supposed to reach in here and then turn it. But in competition, you rarely see the real nice dip. There's some teams that do that very nicely, but a lot of teams are just there for the show, so they'll get roughly right and just twist the person over the hill. Okay, so for grading purposes, that was a good fun. Let's just try a couple of the actual throws one more time. I want you to do it this time with a little more action toward each other. So we can start off with roughly the 2 meter gap here. And Tori, okay, just stepping in with the attack here. And okay, attacking, and then Tori doing the throw. Yeah, because it should have a nice continuity, nice snap like that also. Got it? Okay. So, let's look at goal number 2. That's called Kata Koshi. Kata is sweeping and Koshi is hip, so it's a sweeping hip throw. On this one, again, you want to demonstrate progression as the Tori and getting more and more position to turn position. Okay. This one does not start in the center. This is one that starts off over on the okay side of the economy. So, okay, and Tori, usually Tori would stand maybe a meter away from the center line, if that's the reference point that you want to use. So, if Tori was standing here,
Right?
or here,
Oh, it's coming up for it.
coming up. All right, so this one starts off on the okay side of the here. So again, we're already distance. Remember at the beginning of our first session, we talked about the distance that you want to be away from your Tori. And we want to show that our intention is to try to step forward to get a grip, but then Tori immediately takes over by taking grip and stepping back. So that means that each step now from here on, there should be constant tension on the sleeve of the position here. There should be a little bit of tension on the lapel, and every step is tsugi action. In other words, as Roki steps forward, you should not see a square position here. It's always this way, always this way. One foot slightly ahead of the other. That's tsugi action. This one, again, we started off. This is Tori, this is okay. We start out, stay with the other, we start to reach, and Tori takes over. So at this point here, we have our efficient grips, all right? She's done Kazushi, progressive Kazushi. The next one, she might start to pull this with the wrist locked upwards here, but she's also going to change this grip from the lapel to the back side. So her right hand will slide underneath as we step. So it'll be high on the shoulder blades and strong on the shoulder blades, because this is now replaced your grip on the lapel. You're going to be using this to help draw your partner forward. So this is also a strong hand on the back side. Right, so again, first step is just your regular step on the 1. Second step, change to 2. Now, during these steps, we're still talking about those railroad tracks. In other words, as you're stepping, you're still getting on the step, the railroad track step. We have to turn that body. So for Tori, same thing. When you step back 1, just back 2, you still roughly square to each other. She has not started to do the turn on the second step. It's on the third step that she will do the full turn, but not until the third step. So here, stepping 1, stepping 2. Now this is where she draws you forward. This is a hip technique, so we have to see hip contact here. We have to see the hip contact between Tori and Luke. Tori has to pull, okay, onto the hip on the third step. And now, okay, remember, does not want to be thrown, so they will give you step forward resistance. They're not going to turn your body on your own. Okay, so as I said, if she's expecting me to be here, if she's doing cover or something like that, we expect you to stay here. We're going to tip over to the right side, a little toe side, that's all right, but we should not think we're going to help the Tori by turning our body every time we do the control. You don't want Tori to step in and turn their body. So in this case, same idea. On the third step, we want to keep square, there, square. You see the difference there? I kept square, and then this way, we can see the hip being used to do the throw. The hip has to be there, but more importantly, is that how you take that rotating third step here. When you open up yourself here, you open up and draw forward. You open up not too big, not too wide. Especially the wide part, because if you go to the wide side and then you try to throw, you're too far away, there's no hip on. Okay, so if Tori was to step wide on that third step rotation, on that one, so that's two, and then she goes wide here, then there's no hip. And then all I see is this leg against, okay. All you see is the leg, then what kind of throw are we talking about? So Ashi waza, right? We're still in the hip part, right? So that's why it's important for you to think about, I need to get the person loaded up from the hip. So then at that point, once you're at that point, you can just lift and sweep and now do the throw. The throw will be to the diamond corner, not to the front. So let's try it.
Right here.
Already there. Okay. All right, step one. You one. Step two. And up. Okay. So what happened here? Okay, how many steps? How many steps do you think you took? 3. Okay, but not a full 3. You did it 1, you did it 2, and then on 3 you got drawn in, and he has a small pull yourself forward and just step. And at that point he's up in the air, or not up in the air, he should be off balance to the front, and then the throw happens after that. So one more time. Step 1, 2 on the left, 3, and throw. Diagonal throw. I think everybody saw it going to the corner. Okay, engage body posture for actually it makes it a lot easier. The sweep is actually not a sweep backwards. That's a bit to the back corner. But doesn't matter as long as it's leg is straight. As in many other techniques, like one-legged techniques, you want to have the sweeper leg to be firm.
Yes.
With the frame and the goes like 3 and 4, and go.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, then
I saw
Now, firm.
The weight falls out to have a slap. And not just a slap with their hands and with their feet. So if you do that exact Christ hand, I don't know how they can go to the hand, but you should end up with the sitting down, feet down. Now slap with here, and this side slap with here too. You don't need the legs at all. You just have to tight your hand, the part looking like this one. It doesn't soften the momentum from sticking down. So the same thing happens when you get thrown here. If you get thrown, you should end up with your feet slapping, and not legs straight. Legs straight hurt my knee if you land that. So if you can, think about having a little flex in your knees. Not a whole lot of flex, but enough flex that you're going to have a little shock absorption. So again, when you're going ahead, remember the first class I said project yourself forward. Project yourself forward, your toes pointed forward, so therefore you're going to go forward. Project yourself forward here. And end up on your side for sure, but you can see how your legs are. There's a little flex to them. They're straight like this. Boy, that's radical. That radical. Okay, so if you didn't have hands, you would still have a slap. The example right now, with no hands here, we should still hear a slap because you got a good slap. This one again, we started off on the okay side. And this one here is the only one that Tori gets to grab a hybrid. I'll see if we call it. All the other ones, of course, are on the lapel down here. First step is going to be, again, taking control. So Tori is going to start off with a high grip, stepping back one. Next step, again, is a 2. Third step is a half of a step back and then slide across. So the stepping action for Tori is going to go like this, back 1, back 2, 1 back, 2 across, and then spin around and have your hip around. Okay, that's the footwork for Tori. You can grip 1, 2, a little more Kabushi, 3, then step across. Okay, the step across is slightly to the front. In other words, we don't want to back into our partner yet. We're going to pull ahead, so the partner is going to be still taking his step here, but then as soon as he starts to see you turn around, it's going to show the next, square, 4, and you're going to be turned around so that your Tori's hips are down and he's over here. So you're going to need to have a couple things, which I don't necessarily have, is a flexible shoulder, because you're going to have to turn and have your arm still holding the collar. And you're going to have your hips down, so that means you're going to have to get down both ways to have the hip contact against his body. Okay, Tori takes high grip immediately. 1, 2, back step, cross step, spin step, and then over. All right. So stepping ahead, stepping back 1, 2, now 3 is back. Now we don't take a big step on 3 yet. Okay. She steps back, she's going to do a cross step, and then not that far out. Because when you turn, you're going to end up in front of him. His tracks are in line with these, right? 1, 2, 3, step across. Don't get off hip thrust there, and then spin around. This arm should be straight. The right arm, the one that's on the collar, should be straight. One of the tricks to trade is think about what's being sort of like a duck heel. And if it's grabbing this way, pointing backwards, when you turn, you're also going to have that pointing backwards here. But then the rotation is down. Going to be dropping and pulling this forward. Okay, when each person turns, because you took a smaller step, you should be slightly leaning forward. A lot of times you say, well, he has to be straight because he's trying to be walking. But because there was that start step across by Tori with his head, then that means that, okay, should be just leaning slightly forward. Okay, then you can topple over top of the forward. Way down here. Focal point is way down. Cross that, spin. There. That arm has. But it's going to look like this. And the hand way back here. This hand here. And I just take up the back. Yeah, sure. Okay. You did one. You can see.
Yeah.
Okay, this is at the very beginning, so you can see that where the contest area is, and you can see the tape. The tape in this case is 2 meters away from the edge of the mat. This is a yellow area, it's a 10 by 10, so that's why the tapes are 2 meters away. So for them to get to the tape, they'll obviously have to take more steps. Okay, so I just want to start it off first. You come to the edge, you face each other, you do a bow at the edge. See the back straight. Take steps to come up to the tape. In this case, because they were 2 meters away, they have to take more steps. One bow to show men. And face each other down, left knee, right knee, dead toes, sit. Bow, straight back, hips down. Pop up live toes, right, left, 1 step forward. Okay, so now this is where we didn't get into it, but on the very first technique, okay, takes a couple of mini steps, so he ends up one half meter ahead. This is why he starts. Okay, the first one, remember, was Uki Otoshi. So we've done that. Step back 1, step back 2, and big pull, throw to the corner. Stand up. Again, you can see the Tori is about a meter away from that center plate. 1, 2, and throw. Next one, throw Nage, and you know that we do that one in the center. This is the same hammer ball he's going to do over and over again. Step 1, 2, and throw. Okay, I'm going to slow down the second side because if you want to see the the stepping action, but we're going to move on. Kaguruma, stretch up and throw to the corner. Left side. Step back 1, change grip on 2, stretch up on 3, up and throw to the diagonal. That's the end of the first set. This is what we covered last week. You go back to about a meter ahead of the white tape to fix up these doggies. Then you got to turn and approach each other. This is the floating hip throw, ukigoshi. 1, 2, strike, spin. And again, I'll try to slow this one down on this side. So you can see the action a little bit normal speed or slower speed. Step 1, step 2, and then there's the spin. You can see that it was half a hip that was caught, not the whole hip. Diagonal. Then we're going into the next one, Harai Goshi. Starting position is there. I'm going to slow it down. Step back 1, change on 2 to the left from the back side. And then 3, when Tori opens up the hips, draws forward, uke up in the air, and then you sweep. And then there's the land. You see how the foot of the uke is? That's your slapper foot there, the right foot there. He stands up, and they'll do it the left side. He's up again. Stepping back 1, change grip on 2, Kazushi up and forward, and there's the hip, and there's the sweep. That's the Harai Goshi. The last one is Tsurikomi Goshi, the lift pull propping hip throw. Step back 1, high grip, step back 2, step back half a step, cross step, skin step, hip in, and then straight over. Hips up. Then finally the left side here. Step back 1, 2, step cross, turn, hips, and over. And that would be the end of that step. And the next step would be the waza. Questions or comments? The bowings are slower. You guys are obviously a lot quicker. Is the showman?
Well, that's because we're on a 10-level plan and we have an 8x8, so they had to take more steps to step in than normally than what we do. They do 4, we do 2.
Internationally, you're going to have a bigger area like 10 by 10. So normally to get to the tape for the outside, you would take at least 3, maybe 4 steps to get to that tape. But that's something you work out with your partner. You want to look identical, so you figure out both of you taking the same number of steps to get to the tape. Both of you looking just like looking in the mirror. Other comments? Again, you notice the footwork and the striking action. The striking action is going to be the same for Luke. Tori, first time you're going to do the seal Nage. Second time you're going to catch him with the Tori. Luke's job is still the same. Big strike.
For typical negotiate for the grading, like they're not, some people obviously aren't getting the arm very straight.
Yeah. Okay, make sure it's not we're off the seal Nage level, right? Try and get that arm up as high as you can. Now, a lot of times when you're showing it at the clubs, a lot of times you'll keep the elbow bent and just do it like a hip throw this way over. Probably would be okay. Because it's still the main thing is you've got your hip down and you're using your hip. This is all in the hip category. That's your hips. So if we don't see the hip on the Kata Koshi and just Ashi waza, then yeah, that'll be a big mistake. But unless you forget a technique, talking about the shodan grading, unless you forget a technique, you should be okay. But forgetting a technique, sometimes it'll never happen to you, is what you say to yourself, but it does happen, especially on the striking one, where you're naturally going to say, I have to turn in right, when you should have turned it left. That's actually forgetting a technique. That's probably the most common one in that set, is to turn it the wrong way, because you're doing the wrong throw first. Again, roughly right for the kata. Higher levels, you want to get more better at the kata. But by the time you're at the higher ranks there, you should know all the mistakes that are possible in the kata and what to avoid. So yeah, for the grading, again, I can't speak for the entire grading board, but just get it roughly right. Get the order, get the right steps, don't forget the technique. All right? If the technique looks, if you totally do the wrong technique, like if you get we did the Koshi today, in your grading, if you happen to turn with the seal Nage, that's a forgotten technique. And next week, we'll cover the third step, which will be practicing the Ashi waza or the leg techniques.